To continue actually this the first panel dedicated for architectural heritage and landscape, and actually this sub panel which we're going to have now, two presentations, are dedicated for the wooden heritage. And we have two speakers, one from Lithuania and the second one from Estonia, and who are going to present us more locally. The first previous presentations were giving more international flavors of the architectural heritage in the manners, so these will be very much flavors in local scene. So Dr. Dalia Pochukiene, she's the researcher on wood and manorial heritage. She has a practice for over 40 years, and her whole life was dedicated for the wood and manorial heritage. So what she's going to present you today is going to be the elixir of her long-lasting career and still in practice. We're still waiting for some books of yours. Yes, and so Dalia, the stage is yours.
Thank you. And now we begin. Yes. Lithuania belonged to the region in which the wooden architecture was dominated from the beginning of its civilization until the Second World War. Wood was the main building material. The wood used to cover two-thirds of the territory of Lithuania at the end of the first millennium. The bigger part of woods was cut down only in 18th, 19th centuries. Lithuania's wooden heritage consists of secret buildings, villages and farms, cities, suburbs, small towns, resorts and manors. Unfortunately, the situation of wooden heritage, except secret architecture, less more, is problematic. It is especially serious talking about the heritage of wooden estate. At the beginning of 20th century, there were about 4,000 manors homesteads. 90% of the buildings were wooden. After the wars, agricultural reforms, occupation, and transformation of the 20th century, about half of 1,000 manors or their fragments remained. In terms of material scope, wooden manor architecture is a phenomenon that has disappeared in Lithuanian culture. You can see the map of the manors homesteads in the Vilnius district at the beginning of 20th century. What so much was manors, not only wooden, as all manors, masonry and wood. There were 362, and now in Vilnius and this district is about 45 about. And in all Lithuania, we now have 484 manors, wooden and mural, and 70 manor sites. Their value is archaeological. What we have problem. The aim of the report is to present the retrospective of wood architecture of Lithuanian manor, highlighting the most characteristic features and the influences of neighboring cultures. Due to the lack of time, the main focus will be on the development of manor house architecture and the structure of homesteads. Nobility made about 6% in 18th, 19th century in the western part of Lithuania of the population. In the western part of Lithuania, about 10%. Magnates and dignitaries had a possibility to build masonry homesteads at this time, made only 1.3%. In this case, until the end of 18th century, wooden residences were built by nobles. In the 19th century, by the middle and lower nobility. The golden age of wooden architecture was the end of the 18th century, the first half of 17th century. At that time, wooden summer residences in the countryside were built by kings and dignitaries. The king's summer residence near Vilnius and Grodno, Bishop's Verkiai. The architecture was influenced by Renaissance and Baroque styles and was designed probably by architects of Italian origin who served the King's Court. You can see that it is now known that the King's summer residence near Vilnius looked like. It is not known what the King's summer residence near Vilnius looked like. It did not fit into the 1581 plan of Vilnius. Only the entrance we can see. It's in the left corner. Left corner. An inventory from 1632 of the residence near Grodno has survived. The reconstructed layout probably looked like this, and it can be compared with Serlios plan. The Greek nobles always tended towards cosmopolitan value. The middle and lower nobility protected local tradition. The changes were accompanied by the usual confrontation on innovation and traditions. However, most wooden buildings were built according to the concept of beauty, which was shaped by the worldview and tested of the generations that lived here, and consolidated by carpentry. In the 16th century, carpentry was the main builder. Even in the Statement of Law, the Second Lithuanian Statute in 1566, the Latin word architecture has been translated into carpenter. In the later centuries, the carpenter also played an important role in the construction of a building, and in the estates of smaller nobility, the most important role. The carpenters built the house according to the traditional constructive systems and technologies of the region, also supplement the architecture of the buildings with compositions of volumetric elements that were familiar with their skills or interpreted the decor of professional stylistic architecture in their own way. Feudal estate of traditional concept were formed in the beginning of the 15th century, after baptism. The architecture of buildings was much earlier. It took over the construction experience of noble people who lived before that time, warlords. The main function types of buildings, house, granaries, barns, stables, were recorded by archaeologists the end of the first millennium. They formed the courtyards of the homesteads on the mounts of warlords in the 10th-20th centuries, later regional dukes and grand dukes' deputies. Unfortunately, inventories that allow a deeper understanding of architecture began to be compiled only at the middle of the 16th century. We can speak about early architecture in general terms, based on secondary sources and archaic artifacts traced in later construction. After the wars with crusaders, the homesteads of the Grand Dukes deputies moved from the mounts to the territories more suitable for living and economic development. The manner of a nobleman was a closed and fortified homestead imitating a castle. You can see for example, you imagine here is a farmstead on a hill, yeah, but imagine it on the flat ground. This structure of this manor stead, they took and put on the ground, on flat. In 1516, the residential function of noble family were divided across several buildings. The life of the nobles and their families was centered in the building made for gathering, late called the House of Tables, and several private buildings was used mostly for living and sleeping. This order formed in pre-Christian Lithuania and reflected the structure of a noble community related by family ties. After baptism, the Grand Duchies Lithuania became a sovereign state in Central Eastern Europe. The transformation of the state and society, changes in the mentality of the nobility and the spread of Latin culture influenced the change in the structures and the architecture of homestead. However, it had to be combined with the old building traditions previous centuries. In early 17th, arrangement of living space where the residential function of a noble family were devised across several buildings remained. But houses became larger and more complex. The residential house for the life of nobles living and sleeping had apartments typical of Western culture and an ornate hall. The exterior of the houses of nobles of this time used elements typical of Renaissance architecture interpreted in a unique way in wood. For example, in 1628, the residential house of manor of one of the most important Radziwill estates, Delachi, now is Belarus, had rooms for servants in the Sokol story. The apartments of the Duke and the Duchess consisted of 3 traditional rooms, an antechamber, a bedroom, and toilet room. Above the entrance hall was walled with 20 windows. In front of this building, on the other side of the courtyard, stood the table house. It consisted of 13 rooms, the main of which was a large table hall with a balcony for music. The interior was richly decorated. Stained glass windows, wall covered with important silk fabrics, doors and window shutters were painted. The room also were decorated with glass stoves, paintings, and icons. High-level nobles began to form single-house residences in the early 17th century. But some data indicate that the arrangement of living space where the residential function of a noble family were distributed across several buildings remained until the middle of the 17th century. The book A Brief Science of Building in Polish Krotka Nauka Budownicza, published in 1659, still requires that the main hall, called the table hall, must be the same building as the owner's living rooms, and that, citation, one should not walk across the courtyard to get to it. It is very interesting that the book also classifies the residential building of the nobility. Castles, residences of kings and nobles. Palaces, mural 2-story buildings. Houses, wooden 1-story buildings. And for me it is very, how to say, I love the next citation, yeah? I think it's still actual today. Every nation has its own architecture adapted to the climate and way of life, and whoever wants to build according to the tradition of other nations must also live according to their traditions. In the first half of 17th century, wealthy nobility started to change their homesteads too. They liked of more open, published lifestyle which they got to the experience while traveling or studying on university in Italy, Germany, Scotland, and Poland. Books written by Italian Renaissance architects such as Alberti, Celio, Palladio, as well as local authors Kustomski, Hauro, Polinsky, working under the Italians' influence, promoted homesteads, structure, or correspondence for representational and comfortable life. The new order of homestead is illustrated by the drawing of the Medesh manor near Kėdainiai. Manor homestead is typical of middle 17th century, that was owned by a wealthy nobleman. It had 2 yards located next to each other. Next to them was a garden. The manor house stood at the far end of the rectangular yard in front of the gates. Other buildings included a treasure, a granary, a servant's house, and a stable. The manor house was the main building on the estates. It is drawn with more precision and detail than the other buildings. It had rectangular plan, circle story, and high four-sloped roof decorated with the veins. In the center of the front facade, there was a porch decorated with balustrade and mezzanine erected above it. On the right side, a tower-type extension called alcove attached to the facade. It's typical, this tower-type extension is typical to this time. In the second half of 7th century, a type of one-story parterre residential building was formed. All the main rooms were located at ground level. Kitchens were built separately. Theorists of that type, following example of Italian villas, promoted building close to square in which the rooms were arranged in 3 rows. Such buildings were built in Poland in the 17th century and later. The famous Polish researcher Milodensky refers to the Kovalevchizna Palace as a typical building of the middle of the 17th century. In Lithuania, buildings with rooms arranged in 2 rows dominated. 3 rows were recorded inventories only in the second quarter of the 18th century in the estates of less wealthy middle mobility. I think it's possible that they arose due to connection with Polish nobility. We were in one state, and there was of theorists, same how. So, in Lithuania, the house of the second half of the 7th century had clear, laconic volume and rectangular plan typical on the architecture of northern and all other Protestant countries. The works of the Dutch-born architect Tilman van Gemeren were example. The works of the Dutch-born architect Tilman van Gemeren was examples of this type, which probably influenced the architectural concept of the nobility. They spread the idea of the building with a clear rectangular volume and symmetrical composition. This project by Tilman van Gemeren also illustrated the role of carpenters in house construction. According to this project, only highly professional carpenters could have created the structure. Most impressive were building of this time with extensions, the corners of the house called alcoves building. In the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, this type of buildings was often built in Poland. Anna Maria Sikorska in her study devoted to the analysis of manners of this time, divided all the nobility houses of that period into alcoves and non-alcoves building. Such manor houses were also built in other European countries, but compositional program were different. In Lithuania, they had a high roof and 2-story added value, imitating towers. These types of houses are built only by extremely wealthy nobles. Due to the historical disaster of the late 17th century, late 18th century, the earliest wooden Lithuanian heritage has not survived. The wooden manor house of Staškūniškės is the only relict of that time. It built around 1686 and had been rebuilt several times, but the layout, window openings, and some other details of house have remained original. Unfortunately, the building is preserved but neglected. In the second half of the 7th century, the French monarch Louis XIV, summer residence Versailles became a standard for noblemen of all Europe. In Lithuania, the new design concept on local manners were prevented by wars and political disturbance. Lithuania at this time Lithuania losing almost one half of its population. Towns were devastated, villages and manors destroyed. Great disturbance provoked social transformation. Higher noblemen became even wealthier, and minor noblemen poor. Nobles and dignitaries built new moral ensembles of cosmopolitan architecture. Lower rank nobles, due to lack of money, rebuilt their manor homestead in their former location. One of them is Raudondvaris manor home. Wooden buildings of various sizes and factions formed a rectangular-shaped yard. The shape and the layout resembled the courts of the late 16th, early 17th century. Perhaps the only expression of Versailles was the strict geometric garden located behind the manor house. It is the layout of Raudondvaris manor. It was near Vilnius, now in Vilnius, and urbanistic tendencies destroyed it. After the wars, the new empty land became an excellent base for the development Baroque manor house. The traditional opera house, which was created in the second half of 17th century, was continued. Only symmetrical volume accommodated symmetrical plan. Comparing in the 18th century the plans of large and medium-sized house of Lithuanian nobility with Tilman Lange-Meren's plan of the Mural Piglinsky Palace in Warsaw, it is clearly seen that the buildings, regardless of their size, materiality, and richness, were created according to the same structure. It's you can see some main types of buildings of 18th century. The Blistrubiškis, two of them in the they lost. They was destroyed in Soviet period. In this corner, in left corner, we have it's bad condition, and in the right corner is the building who was transformed to the Museum of Ethnography in Skansen. Okay. One of the most popular type of 18th century was house with loggia at the center of the back facade, facing the garden. Perhaps the prevalence of this type was influenced by the humid climate of Lithuania. It often rains here, and sitting on the loggia overlook the garden is pleasant. The volumes of the building were large and monumental, but the exterior forms were laconic and the decor was moderate. Literature works by Bichanovsky and Zdansky, together with Jesuits' education system, propagated Baroque style. Rich interiors were the opposite of laconic exteriors. This is feature of Lithuanian wooden Baroque. In the 18th century, due to the influence of the Sarmatian culture, art and expensive objects were supposed to show the position of the nobleman in society. Wooden churches was found as where noblemen illustrated this to this day. For example, a Sage church in exterior and interior. The end of the 18th century was a time of great transformation. Scientific achievements inspired by the age of the Enlightenment changed the agriculture, infrastructure, construction, and other areas. Social unrest provoked process leading toward a modern society. Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was divided by empires. Lithuania fell to Russia. The nobility was separated from state rule, closed in their estates, and focused on improving their estates. The influence of Western ideas grew stronger as a counterweight. Neoclassical ideas reached Lithuania in the last quarter of the 18th century. They were brought by architects from foreign countries and Lithuanians who had studied architecture in Italy and France. For example, Gucevičius. The first example of manor architecture with neoclassical form and decor were wooden houses of the nobles of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania before the third division of the states. Manor houses have been designed by famous professional architects of that time, Carlos Pampani, Šimon Babicuk, and others. These buildings became an example for nobility and carpenters. The first building in neoclassical form was the Radzivillių Manor House, the Radzivil's summer residence. First neoclassical forms, both mural residence of neoclassic was later. I'm first. Okay. But what was only in the beginning. Nobles drew to their business and agriculture activities based on capitalistic principles, accumulated enough money for construction on perceived masonry or ensembles. Wooden houses were very rare in the estates of great families. One of them, Belong. About the 1820s, the Zaleski family built a house and established a rich park. In Soviet time, a school was established in this building. The plan was changed, the interior was destroyed. This manor house had survived considerable neoclassical decor and expressive two-story porticos. The interiors of both mural and wooden houses were identical. Benionis Manor House interior you can see is a good example for that. The house was wooden, not survived. The interior, if you can see, the interior very difficult to understand. It is wooden house or mural house. The modest exterior architecture and ritual plan became the main features that made. The modest exterior architecture and ritual plan became the main features that made neoclassical manor houses so popular among the middle and lowest class nobility. The clear composition on neoclassical buildings was easy to understand and corresponded to the local population concept of architecture. The skills of local carpenters enable to create construction systems with the materialized neoclassical proportion and decoration. Rectangular buildings were built with room arranged in 2 rows and wide owners with room arranged in 3 rows. On the other hand, as addition and education got cheaper, less wealthy nobility took deep interest in new trends and construction manners based on the published professional architects of the time. Karol Martin, Boguslav Poczynski. You can see the Boguslav Poczynski plan on ideal homestead in the periodic. Principles of axial symmetry became much more common in the layout of the main representation yard of the manor. In a smaller manor too, for example, in the Paliesa Manor Panevėžys district, and Pumpikė Manor is very small manor, and the main yard, main courtyard, has this same schema. The structure of wooden homesteads in the first half of the 11th century survived until the First World War, as did the simple-shaped wooden neoclassical house. Building of more complex shapes and structures in the second half of the 19th century were examples of professional architecture. Some of them.